So I'm going to kick off with the first trend of today's session, which is the reprioritization of user experience. So we predict that 2023 will see the prioritization of user experience and a return to more human digital interactions. So what does this look like on social media? So as we know, short form video continues to see organizations make an effort to speak to social media users in the language that they're used to speaking online. And at the moment, this is very human, trend-led video content that showcases a brand's personality. We see this going one step further, and brands communicating more with their audiences through comments and messages that speak in an authentic and human brand voice on that one-to-one level. And on websites, we see more organizations prioritizing user experience with easier booking journeys, quicker load times, and more logical presentation of helpful information. So in a recent survey of visitor attraction websites by Rubber Cheese, it was found that 75% have a booking process of more than 5 steps, and 60% have a load time of more than 2.5 seconds. And I'm sure we can all recognize quite quickly that those are barriers to a positive user experience. So not only does improving those factors improve the user experience, it also improves your organizational results, such as online engagement and ticket sales. So everybody wins. SEO is also becoming more focused on user experience, with Google's helpful content update in August ranking content higher if it increases an audience's understanding of a subject and features first-hand experience or expertise. So if your website regularly features helpful content for your audiences, your SEO ranking will improve. So in summary of my trend, we will see more organizations prioritizing user experience, whether on social media, website, or through ongoing SEO to improve their results online. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Levita for the next trend.
Thank you, Phoebe. So our second trend is communities over personas. Web development and marketing teams have been using personas to help inform decision-making for a very long time. However, as we move into 2023, we're looking to move away from individual user personas and rely on demographic information and stereotypes, and instead opting to look more toward community-wide personas based on behaviors, motivations, goals, and needs. There are organizations that are already moving towards this way of understanding their audiences, and there are a lot of tools out there focusing on community-based segmentation of audiences. Morris Hargreaves McIntyre has their cultural segment, which breaks audiences down into 8 distinct profiles, such as stimulation. This is a community of active, independently minded social thinkers, and the details of these segments go beyond the relationship with culture and or just your brand, and look at their motivation in other aspects of their life. For example, are they early adopters? Are they image conscious? These are all characteristics that can be used in your digital and wider marketing strategies. The audience agency also has their audience spectrum with 10 profiles, which are further broken down into 20 subsegments. These cover communities such as experience seekers, who are highly active, diverse, social, ambitious, and eclectic arts engagers. The audience agency provides a spectrum level across activity level, population prevalence, even a COVID cultural participation scale. Using this level of information and moving away from the singular user persona, you can build a picture over what your organization audience community looks like, and you can tailor your user experience to them to encourage more active engagement. I'll now hand you over to Kay, who will discuss her trend.
Thank you, Levita. The third trend that I'm going to be talking about is social responsibility in action. Social responsibility in the cultural realm has been in constant discussion for a long time. But the reason why we put this in the 2023 trend is that counterintuitively, it's not a trend anymore. It's a standard. Recent events like COVID-19, BLM movement, weather hazards sparked meaningful discussions over equality, inclusion, and climate change. And we also know there are pressures on arts, cultural, and heritage organizations in terms of funding. However, fundings aside, an increasing number of organizations are putting social cause in their priorities. This is perhaps due to the following responsibilities arts organizations take on. First one is social responsibility, in that as organizations, we represent spaces of collective experiences. Second, educational responsibility, by providing an intellectual and experiential stimulus for people of all ages. Third, civic responsibility, by providing public spaces to enjoyment as well as to learn. Now, what are the priorities of strategy in arts, cultural, and heritage organizations? Following is the survey result from UK Heritage Pulse survey. So if you look at the chart, the first one that got picked, the heritage organizations have been asked to pick 3 elements to put in their strategy planning. And the first one is the contribution to a sense of place and community. The second is financial and organizational resilience. Note that the community has higher priority over financial resilience. Third is well-being of employees, volunteers, visitors, staff, etc. Fourth is access, diversity, and inclusion. Fifth, environmental sustainability. And last but not least, sixth is the skills development within your organizations. So in accordance with Lavita's finding about community, cultural democracy is taking the lead in my research as well. This brings us to the question for the coming year. How are we going to democratize our digital activities? Digital is offering a free space to reach wider audiences and is capable of engaging people in a completely unique way. Although digital does not equal accessibility and inclusion, it can certainly widen your audience spectrum. And with that, I will pass it on to Meg, who will be talking about her trend.
Hello, I'm Meg, Marketing Manager at HDK, and I couldn't be here today in real time, so here I am in the past. As reiterated by Dr. Stephen Franklin from the National Archives, TikTok is not a social media platform, it's an algorithm. With a dramatic change in attitudes towards Twitter recently and a general shift away from the platform, we suspect that the next big social media platform, much like TikTok, is going to be driven by data rather than driven by social connection. What do I mean by that? Traditional social media centers on being social and speaking to friends and family. With the advent of TikTok bursting onto the scene and increasing in popularity really rapidly over the last couple of years, we've seen a real change away from this social-driven platform towards a more algorithm-driven, data-driven, curated and tailored content. And it might sound antithetical, non-social, social media, but we do predict that the next big platform will operate fairly similarly.
So this next section is mine, and I'm going to be talking about the multi-experience. So I think we all know about omni-channel, and that kind of means as an organization being present across different channels. So everything from social media to websites and different devices. And a lot of you will have already optimized your websites for things like mobile and tablet, and also probably put in a lot of work to creating kind of full ranging and complete digital marketing strategies. The multi-experience takes it that step further. The multi-experience refers to a user's whole experience. So not just connecting these different channels, but also adapting the actual experience for the user across them and tailoring them. So we're not just talking about desktop, mobile and tablet, or even just social. We're talking about all of these, plus smart TVs, smart hubs such as Alexa and Google Assistant, wearables such as smartwatches, and any other kind of third-party interactions such as chat box or ticket desks. We might even include virtual or augmented reality in this. Sorry. So organizations are starting to look at how they can tailor their message across these different platforms and devices, and how they can tailor the actual user experience. And as an example, industry that has kind of really been leading on this and has been particularly successful in rolling out the multi-experience strategy are banking. So banks use lots of different channels of communication to meet their customers' different needs. So you can go into a bank for personal interactions and advice. Maybe even you've received a check for Christmas. I know that I still do, and you need to cash it in, or you need a physical bill. Then you have access to account information from the comfort of your own home, using a desktop, for instance, where you can review finances, look at new offerings, and maybe even talk to an advisor via a chat box to fulfill simple requests. Maybe you need a new card or something. And then you might have your banking app. So right on your phone, you carry it around with you. I use it every single day, I think. You can quickly check the balance of your account and make snappy transfers. So you're sitting there at the table with your mates and the bill comes along and you know, you need to send your friend some money. And then right through to receiving push notifications on your smartwatch, so you can keep an eye on your spending on the go, or maybe you've even like set up a card so that you're not fiddling around trying to find your wallet when you're getting onto the underground and holding everyone up. So each of these kind of shows an example of a seamless user experience that has been carefully tailored to the behaviours of the actual users who use these devices. So as we move into 2023, it's no longer a question of making sure the user experience is the same across different devices and platforms. It's about working with the growing market of devices and considering the ultimate function of these devices and how your offering can be tailored across them. And with that, I'm going to pass over to Hans.
Oh, you're on mute, Hans.
Just realised. So we're nearly at the halfway point, and just to remind you, do think as you're hearing these suggestions of which ones might apply to you. I'd love to pick that up in the discussion later on. So I'm going to pick up with Web3, which, you know, feels like it's a long way away. It feels very technical. In fact, it's the next version of the internet, which will influence culture as well as consumer behaviour. So it's relevant to all of us. And at HDK, we've previously talked about the metaverse at the AMA conference this summer. We've talked about NFTs in a recent webinar, and they're just two of the technologies that make up Web3, along with things like the blockchain you may have heard of, and cryptocurrencies, and AI seems to fit into that as well. We've covered digital art, music and fashion, as well as our own online identities as something that will change as a result of the next version of the internet. As younger generations grow up with their physical and digital realities merging, we're expecting 2023 to see this journey continue. Now, at the same time, I think it's important to be wary of media reports where they claim that cryptocurrency, where they talk about the cryptocurrency crash, or we hear about big companies like Meta losing billions of pounds in investment in the metaverse as well. And I just see that as a distraction because technology will always evolve. So I wanted to think about three things that we can all look out for in 2023, just to give us a sense of how far and how quickly Web3 is progressing. The first one of these, and the first sort of barriers to sort of widespread adoption, I think, is Web3's green credentials. It seems to be using a lot of server power, and until organizations can deal with that, we won't really see the progress and the massive adoption of this. But we are already starting to see progress with big companies reducing their carbon footprint when it comes to using Web3 technology such as the blockchain. Another trend I think is going to be important to crack in 2023 is its usability. I don't know about you, but if you try to set up a crypto wallet or you've tried to enter the metaverse, and play or explore one of those platforms, you'll know how difficult it can be. And so I think it's going to take a big player in 2023 to start to make that more user-friendly and in turn encourage mass engagement with the different elements of the new internet that's coming along. And so with that in mind, in 2023, look out for those big brands that start to take a lead. Now, you may have heard of some of the fashion brands, from Nike to some of the more high-end designer. I'm thinking of, the name's gone from my head now, but some of the high-end fashions that are exploring the metaverse. But think about those everyday brands that you deal with all the time. Starbucks, for example, they have a rewards program, and their members will be able to earn and purchase collectible digital stamps and then buy and sell those in a marketplace with other members, Starbucks members, of their loyalty program. And that will be called Starbucks Odyssey. They've already announced it. So look out for that in 2023. It will use blockchain technology, it will use NFTs, and maybe through that we'll start to understand what these concepts are, which, to be frank, are quite difficult sometimes to get your head around. So in 2023, keep an eye out for these kinds of developments that will take the opportunity to learn and build your own experience around this so that you can understand what Web3 holds for us. And with that, I want to hand over to our first guest speaker, who's Matt Eccleston from Arts Marketing Association.
Hi, I'm Matt Eccleston, Senior PR and Marketing Manager at the Arts Marketing Association. My prediction for 2023 is for a continued rise in the number of young people, mainly 18 to 24-year-olds, using social media platforms as search engines. This marks a growing shift in the way they are using digital search, from navigating Instagram to stay updated on trends, using Snapchat's Snap Maps to find local businesses, and TikTok for products, businesses, how to do things, and also how to find explanations for what things mean, or just answers to pressing questions. TikTok in particular is the Gen Z platform of choice, with a Google executive quoted at a tech conference in July as saying almost 40% of young people, when they're looking for a place for lunch, don't go to Google Maps or search, they go to TikTok. TikTok's algorithm shows users videos based on their interactions with content, and this enhanced level of feed tailoring to the individual user's needs adds more relevance and personalization to the searching process. Just a few benefits for young users. So TikTok already knows what users want to see, so content is already more personalized and avoids the need to scroll through pages and pages of Google search results. It's a more interactive process than Google search, as users are watching videos to narrow down the content. TikTok results are not perceived to be as biased as Google's, so a lot of young users cite wanting a different opinion from what ads and websites are optimized for Google say. So I fully expect this change to continue and not just be limited to the 18 to 24 age bracket. There's huge potential for arts, culture and heritage organisations to engage these users by meeting their needs and answering their questions, where relevant, of course. So thanks very much and have a great festive break. Bye.
Great, so the next trend is mine, and I'm looking at the continuation of digital and hybrid offerings. So we've all seen digital activity rising post-COVID, and whether the pandemic nourished or forced creativity for how to approach and engage new audiences, the digital demand for hybrid experiences continues. So we moved to digital being the default during COVID, and now we're continuing the end of physical versus digital, which is organisations turning to hyper-personalisation in web design and development, as well as social media, to encourage and target users. At present, this is by exploring new territories by building interactive features on their website to make the user experience feel more visceral. Hyper-personalisation and interactive elements include anything that directly engages the user. This might look like a members area with exclusive content or hand-picked content, or the integration of a third-party platform to introduce interactive learning. For instance, we're currently working with 2 dance companies exploring hybrid classes, which involves finding systems to allow the users to book onto classes and access multiple forms of content. One example of this is using a mixture of pre-recorded and live streamed videos, which are either in the form of classes or resources for dancers. A number of our clients in the dance, theatre and museum sectors are working with us to create integrations or experiences in tandem with in-person experiences. And in the broader sector, organisations such as National Theatre created NT Live during the pandemic, which was a platform to share theatre performances online. And this continues to grow now. So with that, I will pass you over to Phoebe.
Thank you. So you might notice that I'm not Turgai. Turgai sends his apologies, he's having Wi-Fi difficulties. So I'm going to do my very best at presenting his trend, which he's kindly given me some notes for.
It's quite ironic, Phoebe, that our innovations and technology manager is having problems with Wi-Fi, but yeah.
Exactly. And if that's not irony, then what is really? But yeah. So Turgai's trend is advanced reporting. So CRMs are becoming more popular simply because of what they can achieve. Organizations are now looking into more in-depth customer reporting. So looking at who's visiting what pages, what they're purchasing, and how they engage with the website through contact forms and clicks. CRMs can then automate the process of creating a report and creating a unique user profile. With that user profile, you have the ability to cross-sell, upsell, and market the products and services to those that we know will show interest or even hopefully go through to purchase. Sorry. CRMs can also pull sophisticated data reports from the information provided to give a better idea of usage and engagement. So as an example, we can look at how users navigate the checkout, looking at important metrics such as abandonment rates, and compare this to ticket sales throughout the year to get an understanding of successful campaigns and to help us make improvements to the checkout flow. So using this information allows us to make crucial business decisions, as well as improvements and measuring success. Another tool which is free to use and one that you're probably more familiar with is Google Analytics, specifically the most recent update, Google Analytics 4 or GA4. GA4 updates have added crucial reporting skills like funneling and tracking transactions. And this makes processing important data easy with simple drag and drop tools and extensive user guides. They even allow reporting and data analysis with third-party APIs, integrations, and iframes, which is crucial when you want to analyze all the details of your digital presence. In-depth reporting, as we know, isn't necessarily new, but technology has been advancing rapidly over the last year and will continue to do so in 2023. So with that, I'm going to pass on to another guest speaker, Sarah from Tate, who will be presenting her trend via video.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I lead the social media team at Tate, which are the 4 galleries across the UK, Tate Britain, Tate Modern, Tate St Ives and Tate Liverpool. Sorry I couldn't join you all live, I'm currently in Vancouver, so hopefully I look a bit fresher than if I'd joined you at 2 AM my time. I'll jump straight in as I know we're a bit limited on time. Influencer marketing has grown exponentially for Tate over the past 3 years, and in 2023, I predict that organisations will be investing more and more into their fans, those who humanise and personalise and bring their brand to life. Traditionally, this is known as influencer marketing, but I think that the way that we think about influencers is changing and will continue to change. So anyone who talks about your brand online is an influencer. 88% of consumers trust their social media circles over traditional media. We know this. We know that people would rather hear from their friends or people they like and follow on social media rather than any brand or organisation, even brands that they really love. So in this case, the priority should be your customer experience first and foremost. What are you offering your influencers, your audiences, and the relationships that you have with those who love your brand? Do you know who your top 10 individual referrers are? Are you interacting with them directly? Are the questions that brands should be asking themselves. So Influencer marketing sounds really daunting, but really what it is digital word of mouth, which is the most reliable and authentic form of marketing. When people think of influencers, I think they often think of the macro influencers, so those who are often seen collaborating with brands, promoting products. But in fact, nano influencers and micro influencers are the ones who are really going to bring you the best return on investment. They often have the niche audiences and therefore have a closer relationship with their audiences and are more trusted. So influencers with 15,000 followers have some of the highest engagement rates across the platforms. An example of successful influencer marketing for Tate was Yayu Kusama's Obliteration Room at Tate Modern over the summer. We didn't create a trailer for this show or a poster or any out-of-home marketing. We just invited 50 influencers to a preview on the day before opening. Our target audience was young people and families. It was a free exhibition, so the benefit for them is access first to the show and being in the know with their audiences. The influencer content on the day extended the reach of the show by around 2 million. We had one TikToker alone whose video was watched 8.5 million times, and that's just reach that we wouldn't attain ourselves in the space of a week. And the post analysis of the show showed that 45% of visitors heard about the show on social media. So that they're just stats to show the power of social media and the power of influencer marketing. TikTok have introduced TikTok Creator Marketplace, which some of you might be familiar with, some of you might be using it, where brands are able to formally collaborate or promote TikTok content created by TikTok creators. This means that you both have access to the content and the analytics, and you work collaboratively towards the same goal. This is the future. So my prediction is that brands' voices will be shared further amongst their followers, and your audiences will become your most valuable tool. Thank you for listening. Any questions, just ask. Thanks. Hi.
The 11th trend is going to be democratization of design. Design is everywhere, from PowerPoint slides to webinar presentations to social media posts, and we all expect good design. One that is inspiring and that looks professional. But creating good design requires skills that are generally in the hands of the community of designers. The trend we are experiencing now is the opening up of design capabilities to non-designers. Tools like Canva, Figma, Wix, they all help to give us some visual value to our content. And for better or worse, these tools make design accessible to everyone with an internet connection. Even more on the front line of this trend is artificial intelligence. AI is able to analyze huge amounts of data, and the algorithms can generate unique design concepts. The benefits for those of us working in the marketing industry are obvious, perhaps less so for designers. But looking at the big picture, it is unlikely that AI will replace designers altogether. Somebody said that technology made us faster, AI will make us smarter, because it presents an opportunity for designers to work as co-creators, supervising and optimizing what these tools come up with. So as an experiment, we tried an online AI tool called Brandmark. We entered some data about HDK, waited a few seconds, and we literally got dozens of logo designs. And these are just a few of them. Now, with my designer hat on, I must say that they are all rather poor, but at least it is a start. In summary, as we move into 2023, we should be keeping an eye for the continuing rise of online design tools for non-designers, and particularly for artificial intelligence and its smart auto-generated visuals. With this, I'll hand over to Ali with our final trend.
Hello, I'm Ali, Marketing Assistant at HDK. Our next trend prediction is arts organisations marketing being video first. According to a recent study, online video content makes up around 80% of all consumer traffic. Following on from what Meg was saying earlier, social media platforms and features such as TikTok, Instagram Reels, and Instagram Stories have all been treated as nice additions to an organization's digital marketing suite. What does this look like in practice? Well, it means that a majority of social media and marketing officers will become well versed in creating video content on their phones. Things like storyboarding and audio editing will become a requirement of the job rather than just a desired skill.
So thank you, Ali. With that last video on video first, that brings us to the end of our 12 points plus my cheeky bonus one at the beginning. We're about to shortly go over to a discussion to hear what you think. I would love to hear which of those trends chime with you. Which ones do you agree might be big? Are there other trends that you think might be big next year? How will any of those trends apply? How will you apply any of those trends to what you're doing? It'd be great to hear some examples of what you think will work for you. I think now is a great time to open up the discussion. Would love, as I say, to hear what you think. What do you think is going to be big next year? What of those trends might inspire you to go and do some further research? What have you heard on the grapevine that's going to be important next year? For me, I've definitely got the theme. Two things came out from, well, lots of stuff came out, but AI is definitely building up, I think, its momentum at the moment. So I'm really interested to see how that shapes us next year. Anyone else? And please feel free to switch yourself off mute, unmute yourself, and say something or put something in the chat. Yeah, VR. Yeah, VR is, and now I find this interesting because for me, VR personally, virtual reality, it has been very much tied in with my research into the metaverse this year. And I'm reading all about the sort of the technology that's coming up, particularly the goggles. I feel that with the metaverse and VR, we're taking a little slump at the moment. On the Heitner cycle, it's called the trough of disillusionment, but I really feel that it's going to progress more next year. Now, I know this would have been a topic for Tugay to respond to because it's his area. So I'm not going to say anything more than that. I don't know if anyone else wants to. Anyone in the room wants to share their thoughts on VR?
Just in case just as we wait for that, I think what would also be really useful while we're all together, you know, as Hans has encouraged everybody, please comment in the chat what you think the trends are going to be for 2023. But I think specifically what would be really good to hear from you is where you think social media is going to go. And, you know, obviously people are moving away from Twitter or repurposing how they're using Twitter. What do we think is going to happen as a result of that? I think that would be really nice to kind of see if anybody has any thoughts on that. Sorry, I just wanted to.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I kind of just want to hear people's thoughts.
Yeah, and do feel free to chip in as well. It's great to get your comments on the chat. If any of you who've left a comment in the chat want to expand on your own thoughts, yeah, just unmute yourself. I'll just read out a couple then in that case. Raina says, I wonder how arts organisations will counter the loss of audiences in 2023, especially older people who are hesitating. Even organisations which were used to 95% occupancy are down 10 or 30%, and they are selling from the back to the front now. I think it certainly echoes with some of the experience that we've worked on campaigns as well. And Raina, you continue to add to that. You're trying to keep track of the audience's issues on your blog, so you've shared a link to your blog. Thank you for that. Yeah, do have a look at that as well. Yeah, Jenny, you mentioned Be Real. I got very excited about Be Real. I haven't kept up with it though. Anyone else has sort of experienced that or played around with it?
So I think what I heard somebody say the other day, that Be Real is a little difficult for organizations because there's like a cap on how many people that you can follow. So I guess copycat features are almost a better option for organizations. So yeah, also really intrigued to see where that goes, Jenny.
Well, we can come back to the discussion. We're reaching our 45-minute point, and I like to finish after 45 minutes. So we're just going to do a couple more quick slides, and then we can hang around for anyone else who wants to keep the discussion going afterwards. So I just wanted to point out that I mentioned that we're doing webinars next year. Here are the next 3 that are coming up, January, February, and March. TikTok has been one of our most popular webinars in the past. So we're coming back to that. Continues to be a really hot topic. We're totally in our comfort zone when we talk about the perfect website in February. So if you're thinking about building a website, if you're in that process and want to pick up tips there, do come along to that one. And then I mentioned the metaverse, so we're going to return to that. We talked about it in the summer. I'm very conscious that it's kind of fallen off the radar. People have kind of got a sense of what it is, think it's too far in the future and maybe sort of step back from it. But let's see where we're up to when we come to March. And then for any other webinars that we've already laid out on our website, the link's going to come up in the chat just now. So go there and sign up to any of the webinars. And then finally, just to prompt you, if you've not already signed up to our newsletter, we do a quarterly roundup, so 4 emails a year. And the link for that is coming up. We share case studies, we share our learnings, we share what our clients are doing, and also other webinars that are coming up. So if that sounds of interest and you want to be prompted by that every 3 months or so, do join our newsletter. So thank you. I just want to thank you to everyone who's joined us. We really do appreciate you coming along to these webinars. We enjoy researching these and thinking about this. So it's great that, that there's an audience there who hopefully will learn something and take it away and apply it in some way. And I hope also that these are a good opportunity for you to share ideas as well in the chat and in the discussions as well. So that brings us to the end of our prepared stuff, but if you want to hang around for the chat, we'll hang around for a few more minutes and see what happens. But otherwise, have a great Christmas and see you in the new year.